Hi everybody, this is Andrew with Heroes of Steel. I have just entered Krellin Deeps, so I'm just outside of Red Hill, and I just wanted to show a little bit of playing forward through the level and give some basics and tactics and talk a little bit about what you can think about the very first time you're buying talents. So I haven't leveled yet. I'm going to do this quickly. And it's very important from the very beginning to be thinking about the design of your group. Some of your characters are pretty easy, and some of them are a little more difficult to work through. So I'm going to start with Kjartan. One of the things I love to do is to play an Ash Wizard. There's a powerful debuff that Kjartan has to reduce armor. So I'm going to take Choking Ash 2 with my talent point, and for his skills, he's low in Conjuring. He can only hit 2 targets right now with Choking Ash. So I'm going to start raising that up so that now he can hit 3 targets. And for attribute points, he's a wizard. I'm going to raise his constitution to help him be less likely to get hit, and raise his intelligence to increase his spell power. For Vrace, lots of choices here. Vrace can be such a defensive character, can be such an offensive character, can be really fast, really strong, one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons. Can be a pretty difficult decision because I have Kjartan focusing on Ash Wizard. I'm going to take Increase Crushing Blow, which is a low accuracy talent. So I'm going to need to find ways to get accuracy or to make the enemy easier to hit. So Crushing Blow will help with that, and I'll focus on that in my gear and other talents for other characters as well. So it's going to give me a big damage boost all the way up to 16 extra damage a hit. And I am currently going to work on Blades. You've got to sort of either save your skill points or choose early. I like Blades because they are, as it says here, they're both strong in offense and defense. They give you a good mix between parry and accuracy. And of course then later in the game I can choose between 1 and 2-handed swords. So I'm going to actually raise Blades twice. That gets me up to 5 Blades, increases my attack roll significantly. And I'm not going to use light weapons, so I'm going to take my strength up a point. That increases my attack roll, and I'm going to raise my constitution. So that's making Vrace into a powerful offensive character. Kjartan is going to be a powerful cursing wizard right out of the gate. And for Kira, one of the most important things I think for her is just to immediately get yourself Mishana's Tears 2. This reduces the number of heals that she's going to have to do a turn, allows her to use her curse or her hammer effectively early in the game. So I'm just going to raise that. I like making Kira a striker, someone who fights with a one-handed hammer and a shield. So I'm going to raise her hammer to 3, and I'm going to raise her lore, which will increase her heal as well. So gets those 2 points spent, and then I'm going to raise her constitution since I plan to have her at the edges or the fringes of combat, and raise her intelligence for spell power. Tamlin, a little harder of a decision. I really personally am a big fan of stealth. It really helps me win a lot of my combats. So I'm going to leave Aim Shot as it is. It's a very powerful talent, and I'm going to raise Black Knight to help her dodge attacks and win stealth rolls in the Krellin Deeps. And she's only going to use bows, so I'm going to put all of her points into bows right now. I'm ignoring stealth because I just raised my stealth buff, so otherwise I might think about putting a point into stealth there. And Tamlin really thrives on dexterity. It helps her dodge attacks, and it also helps her with bows and light blades. So I put all of my attribute points into dexterity for her. Okay, so now I've got the group leveled up. I'm going to get them in a little arrangement here, and I'm going to make a quick change to the ordering of some of my talents. I'm going to bring Black Knight up so that it's on Tamlin's list, and she'll cast on herself. Kira doesn't have any buffs right now. Kjartan starts out with Pure Flame Shield, great buff, always want to use it, and Vrace starts out with Stone Skin, another great buff that you always want to use. I don't ever use standard attacks. They're something you should try to avoid. You want to have the bonus all the time, so I'm going to move that out of the way. And we're just going to get busy headed in the dungeon here. And I'm going to play through just maybe 2 fights, just kind of skipping dialogue quickly and running into things and just getting busy basically. So we found ourselves a little combat. And so I'll talk as I play. Basically, I can't see very far ahead, so I'm going to... And Tamlin has a 2 AP attack. She's got 7 AP. I'd like to make 3 attacks in the first round. I won the stealth round. I'm going to move her 1 position to put her out of the way of Race and into a place where she can potentially shoot any targets that we can find. Now, where the Ratkin are fantastically far away. Race is pretty fearless, so he's headed out there. Kjartan wants to start off immediately hitting some folk with his curse and gets the first Ash done. And Kira is going to run out here. And she has Ethereal Anguish, which is going to reduce the action points of her targets. So we're going to slow down the warrior. We're going to Ash their archer. And Tamlin is hopefully going to take out the archer on the very first turn of combat. This is why I love stealth. Gives her a real good chance to get in there swinging every turn. If she just generally can almost always get 3 attacks. Kill at least the lead monster. You can shoot some curses and be in pretty good position for the next turn. So I'm going to actually bring Vrace back a spot. I want the monsters to come to me. Kira has cursed this Ratkin. You can see he's Ethereal Anguish. He's down to 2 AP. He still has a pretty good punch, so I don't want to tempt him too badly. And I know generally Ratkin are running in packs. There's an archer in the tunnel there. And so I want to make sure that I am not kind of overextending the team. I stay together, especially at this early phase, and move along. So you can see Vrace took a little bit of damage, but he's got Stone Skin up. He's naturally pretty tough, and he's fine. So Kjartan is going to hit our 2 new targets here, our friends, with Choking Ash. I'm going to move this out of the way and just get busy with Smiting Blow. So Kira, especially early game, can be relatively effective if Choking Ash has been cast, thwacking some damage. If she gets a second hammer she finds in the dungeon, she can do some real good killing. Together, the 3 of us should be able to clean up this mess. Now, that's where you see Vrace shine. He just did 36 damage, outshining everybody else. Crushing Blow, really big hit. Really making the enemy hurt, and very happy with that choice already. with Choking Ash on, it makes it very quick to kind of clean up an enemy like that. So we're moving into position to finish out this archer. Now, if you've maybe played through here before, you can see the trap sign on the ground here. So he's sort of in a trap field. It makes him a little hard to get to. I'm hopefully going to be able to take him out without having to go in there after him with Race. So curses are great because, like buffs, they don't require line of sight. So you can see that Kjartan can't actually blast that Ratkin with a firebolt, but he can curse him. So he's actually going to try to step into line of sight here, shoot off a firebolt, and then he'll step back out. So the Ratkin can't shoot him. Tamlin has a nice line on him, but is out of range. And so we're going to move her in, and we'll drop, hopefully remove that Ratkin. So there you go. First combat wrapped up pretty quickly. Now I'm just going to get everybody back together. You can see up here we've got buffs that are running out, so I'm going to recast Pure Flame Shield. Noticeably this is on normal, so things are looking pretty easy, pretty straightforward. The buffs aren't disappearing after combats and stuff like that. So, and you also notice I raised Mashana's Tears on purpose, and now it gives me 70 plus lore, and I have 3 lore, so it's 76 a heal, which means I can heal pretty rarely. Pretty rarely, and everybody's got a lot of SP right now, so we're using a lot of low cost talents. Black Knight is a great buff in that it lasts so long, so it's generally something you would just cast once, and Tamlin can like sneak around the dungeon for days with that cast, so a really good one to abuse. A little bit of story warning here. It's the first time you've seen traps, so we'll give you a warning about trap sign, and we're gonna clean those up. get the group back into Glom for kind of, for efficient movement. We're going to try to, hopefully I imagine, well, let's be realistic. I've played this level a million times. I know there are enemies on the far side of this trap field, so I'm trying to get, that's exactly what I was trying to avoid, would be that the enemies would get triggered before I've cleaned the traps. So I'm going to clean that last trap just because I really don't want to be messing with that during a fight. And again, send Vrace out. Now this is a 3-way passage. I don't see any enemies, so I'm just going to work on getting people into a nice safe position here. Kind of expect to get rushed from the Ratkin will rush me on all sides probably, and I want everybody in a nice spot to be able to get line of sight and throw curses and that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to end my turn. I know I had a couple of AP extra, but often, especially if you're kind of early and you don't know the situation at hand, it can be a really safe idea to kind of save those AP if you're not yet confident enough to kind of go barreling in there. So here we go. Vrace has got Choking Ash has been cast, so that's what Kjartan was doing, which is bringing down. You can see on these targets they have 0 armor, so when Vrace goes swinging, he's really crushing. 32 damage, absolute killer. Tamlin's able to clean up with 9 extra. Gonna bring Kira up next to him and kind of block up here. For line of sight, I'm going to keep Tamlin out on that side, and we didn't take any damage, so just going to let the monsters come to me again. I'm going to back up Kjartan because I can't curse at one range, and he's going to just kind of blast them. Now Kjartan, basically in this group build, he is going to be an absolute whirling mess of ash, choking and coughing. Like, he just won't stop. He's going to hit every monster. He always will go first, and we're never going to let any other hero attack a monster who hasn't had their armor reduced to 0. It's going to make all of my other attacks so much more efficient. You can see I just cleaned up the enemy there. I'm getting the group back together for a quick little buff session. Everybody's out of ward or shield. Tamlin probably at this point could use a refresh on her. On Black Knight, we got Stone Skin back up. Everybody's buffed. Still, like, been through 3 combats now. I'm about halfway SP on the SP heavy users. Those people are doing most of the attacking and killing. Vrace and Tamlin, especially this early in the game when talents are low level, it's going to be like the number of attacks that are really going to bring you down. So you can see Kjartan's cursing a lot, but Choking Ash is really cheap, and he has so much SP, so he's not going to feel it later when Choking Ash is expensive. That'll hurt more. He'll cost more SP, but right now he's kind of in good shape. Now, of the 3 tunnels, this one kind of looked like a choke point. That one totally looks like a choke point, and this one looks pretty nice. So nice open territory, which is just going to give me a lot more flexibility when the time comes. And you can see because I have Black Knight on, I'm like happily winning all of the stealth rolls, so it's giving me the first turn here, and I can kind of sniff out with Vrace if there's an enemy that Tamlin wants to shoot. There doesn't look like there's anybody around, so I'm just gonna get everybody into like a nice position. Expect the enemy to come for me. Kjartan's in range to ash anybody. Tamlin has great line of sight on the whole field, and we're just gonna get to work. So there goes Kjartan. Again, I pretty much make it a rule for myself that he's the first one to act, because he's just going to soften everyone so much that by the time it gets around to be, by the time Vrace reaches them, man, that line of sight's pretty bad. Oh, really wasted some time there with line of sight being blocked. Tamlin lost an entire attack. It's pretty annoying. But that's my bad. I should have been watching a little more closely. It's a cave, so what are you gonna do? So it wasn't the best turn. We got 2 enemies that actually survived, and there you can see we're getting flanked now. We got both my warriors busy. There's archers coming up, so this is gonna be a little bit more of a stand-up fight. And now we've got Shaman sighting in the back. We're going to have to be a little more tricky with this one. It's actually a good chunk of Ratkin. We're probably going to have to do some healing. So Kira, again, in this kind of position in the group, is playing more of a sweeper. That Ratkin was already pretty heavily injured. Kjartan, and he already had Choking Ash on him, so Kjartan set that up. Kira cleaned it up, and really kind of annoyed with where Tamlin is. This thing ended up being a lot less open ground than I expected, but that's okay. I'll retreat in a second, let Vrace get a good kill. Now because I'm getting flanked, I don't want to go down to this archer. Like, I could charge him and kill him probably, but that leaves my range characters open to being flanked. So I'm going to move Vrace up here pretty strongly, and put Tamlin in position to hit these archers. Now, that's a low stone column with a lot of edges on it. You can always shoot around those sort of edges, so use that to your advantage. And rarely Kjartan is gonna pull out his ranged combat capabilities. You just saw him do it there. He ashes most of the time. The better he gets with Ash, the better area effect he'll get, and maybe the less he'll need to use it. So he'll start to use his attacks, other curses, and things like that. But especially at the beginning, when you're just doing the cross AoE in these big caves, he probably is going to spend the mass majority of his AP cursing. So you can see those two Ratkin aren't cursed. Shaman has some crazy buff on himself, giving himself fire damage. I'm going to try to ignore the Shaman for the moment, focus on getting Vrace freed up so that he can get back to the fighting the big bad guy. I don't want him stuck over here on the flank. I don't want Kira to have to face the Shaman all by herself with archer support. So again, with Crushing Blow stacked, it's pretty straightforward. Vrace is able to just knock down the targets. Now, for big bad guys like this, Ethereal Anguish is a really killer curse. And I'm going to use it on the archer as well. So now I've cursed them both. You can see their AP. His AP is down 2, and the archer is going to get 1 attack next turn, which is really great. And check Kira. I don't particularly like her being that low health. Healing is cheap, so I'm just going to get her topped up and move Kjartan a little closer because he has some critical cursing to do next turn. That archer and Shaman aren't cursed up yet. Well, there's your flank protection gone again. There's more of them around that side than expected, and they just keep piling in, so this is going to get pretty exciting. Vrace is now in a position where Kira needs to heal him. He's getting hit up enough. We're back at full, though, and Kira can take her turn as a striker. She gets in there. She does a little bit of damage. Now I'm in a position again where I'm just going to end up cursing targets that are standing next to Vrace. Now you see it was a mistake in discipline right there. Kira attacked a target that wasn't choking ashed, so that was pretty silly. Wasted potentially up to like 8 points of damage extra that she could have done, so that's unfortunate. That's why I try to make a rule for myself that Kjartan goes first, because then you make sure you remember about cursing every turn. Vrace is going to get in there, and I'm actually going to move him right in the middle so that Kira has an open lane next turn and she can join in the fight. Everybody's got an extra AP. I really like 6 AP turns for some reason. That fits very well. It's a great rhythm. Everybody has a little bit of extra move. Later in the game, you get move points, and you'll be able to really maximize your 7 AP rounds. But for the time being, 6 kind of like 2, 3 AP actions or 3 2 AP actions gives you this opportunity to take your full action and then shift a little bit closer, a little bit farther away from the fight, or step out of line of sight. So this time I did it right. Kjartan toasts up both of the targets with Choking Ash, and then Vrace is just going to give the Shaman a big barbarian hello. You see half his hit points in a turn, and I'm going to just pile it on, as the Shaman will be kind of hard to get access to with Tamlin. So there's a good hit from Kira. You can see she has the potential, wielding a hammer. Hammers, both one and 2-handed hammers have big damage ranges, so she's got this kind of sometimes if the dice roll on her side, she can be a real crusher, but she isn't getting max, like kind of guaranteed damage. Swords are in the middle, and spears have a really tight range, so that might be one thing that you want to kind of think about. Way lower max for a spear, but it is going to be more guaranteed damage, and you're not relying on luck so much. But man, a 2-handed hammer can just do absolute crusher. So there's my first level up, and we're just down to the shaman now. Tamlin was able to take out that armorless skirmisher. And with Crushing Blow going, we're just going to clean up this shaman and kapow. All set. Combat is over. You can see the group is in pretty good shape. Vrace has burnt them. He's low SP, so even a cheap Crushing Blow is really kind of burning up his SP count. And we got a good stock of potions there, a little bit of gold, and we're gonna kind of line up again, and I think we're just gonna go for it because people are starting to get levels, so that's exciting. I want to make one more level, and then I will move on or go back consider going back to the campsite. So Vrace will use a potion. You get a lot of potions in the dungeon. I wouldn't play in such a way that you need to hold on to every potion. It's not a wise style. You're going to need to use them. They help extend your runs in the dungeon. They help you move faster. Don't use them every battle, and know when to go back to campsite. But find a good rhythm in there, and you'll see if you look around enough, you find these nice treasure chests. So this is a good setup. We got another round of potions, so it made up for the potion that Vrace drank, and I'm just going to keep moving. Heading deeper. This is such a warren of caves. Ratkin have dug themselves a little home here, and I'm looking for the next little spat of trouble. Now again, this is where I'm really a happy dungeon crawler, because Tamlin is winning every stealth roll, and I'm able to get in close. Now, does that look like trap sign? Vrace doesn't care. Nope, it's just a story event. Okay, so Vrace loves getting... Oh, okay. A really interesting thing you should work on exploiting whenever you can is that a story event will reset your group's action points and give you the turn in some cases. Sometimes it'll give the turn to the monsters. Not such a friendly result, but in many cases